Hello students, today we're going to cover the number values of each letter. And I want you to bear with me as we're going to, I'm going to explain where the number and the alphabet come from. And of course the letters over here are for the English alphabet or for, any kind of European non-Cyrillic alphabet. But I wanted to explain to you where it comes from. So remember that in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and this is the opening sentence of the book of Genesis, according to the King James Version of the Bible. And the familiar worlds have been part of a heritage of mankind for countless of centuries. These ancient words were even heard across the vacuum of interstellar space when men first walked into the moon. Yet Hebrew scholars and Kabbalists claim that these words, revered and cherished by so many for so long, are essentially false. They contend that the original Hebrew in which the scriptures were actually written has been misinterpreted by translators, and that the real message is of far greater spiritual significance and psychological impact. Although in this course, we're not going to, like I said, go over the Kabbalah or the Kabbalistic tenets or anything like that. I couldn't give you the number values of each letter for numerology without telling you the real source or what is being taught that is the real source, which is, of course, Kabbalah and the Hebrew alphabet. Now, Genesis means in the beginning and is a direct translation of the Hebrew word Bereshith, which we may discuss later on. Unfortunately, Hebrew began to die out as a spoken language around 500 BC and was replaced by Aramaic, the ancient tongue spoken by the Jews during their captivity in Babylon and during the time of Jesus. During the 70 years of captivity in Babylon, the Jews lost their language of the original Hebrew tongue, and when they were finally allowed by King Cyrus of Persia to return to Palestine, the only men who understood Hebrew were Esdras and Daniel. Esdras revised the first 5 books of the scriptures, known as the Pentateuch, and reputed to have been written by Moses. When these teachings were reintroduced into the synagogues, they have to be interpreted by means of series of books known as the Targums, which translates into interpretations, which gave a translation of some parts of the Hebrew text into Aramaic for the common people. From 70 AD, when the dispersion of the Jews from Palestine began, until modern times, Hebrew once more became the language of religion and culture. At the end of the 19th century, the Zionist movement revived Hebrew as a spoken language, and it is now the official tongue of the State of Israel. You have to remember that we said that Pythagoras was the father of mathematics, and a lot of mathematicians such as Pythagoras went to study to Egypt and Judea and other places that at that time were the centers of erudition. About 300 BC, Ptolemy II, who ruled Palestine after the death of Alexander, ordered that the Hebrew scriptures be translated into Greek. The work was undertaken by a group of Essene scholars who lived in seclusion outside Alexandria and who were the only people at the time with a competent knowledge of the original Hebrew in which the Old Testament had been written, as well as the Greek. The Essene initiates, however, were reluctant to reveal the secret doctrine of the Hebrew faith to the non-initiates, and therefore disguised with the use of similes and symbolical imagery the mysteries given by Moses. The stories of Adam and Eve, the serpent, Adam's rib, which were introduced in the Greek version of the Genesis, have no corresponding passages in the Hebrew original. The 70 rabbis who formed the Supreme Council of the priesthood in Jerusalem, known as the Sanhedrin, and who were not familiar with the abstruse quality of the Hebrew text, accepted this misleading translation as an accurate and appended their signatures to it. And this became known as the Septuagint. The Essene translators remain anonymous, and in 300 BC, the Septuagint has been accepted as the correct Greek translation of the Old Testament. In spite of common acceptance of the Septuagint, many biblical scholars and theologians have regarded its veracity with growing skepticism. Notable among these was Saint Jerome, who even engaged a Hebrew rabbi to teach him the ancient tongue, but not to no avail. Saint Jerome spent 20 years translating the Septuagint into Latin. The Latin version became known as the Vulgate, and is considered to be one of the foundations of the Roman Catholic Church since 400 AD. In 500 AD, the books of the Old and the New Testament were first published together as the Bible, as we know it. They became known as the Holy Scriptures, and been since accepted without question by the large majority of the Christian world. One of the first translations of the Bible into English language is ascribed to John Wycliffe in 1384, but the best translation has been that of William Tyndale in 1536, to which the famous authorized version of the King James owes much of the phraseology. The standard King James Version is generally ranked in English literature with the works of Shakespeare in poetic beauty and clarity of speech. In 1515, a book entitled The Polyglot of Paris was published by Cardinal Ximenes with the permission of the Vatican. This book was extraordinary in the fact that it presented the book of Genesis printed in 3 different languages. Each page was set in 3 columns. The first column presented the original Hebrew text, the second column had the Latin Vulgate, and the third was printed in Greek Septuagint. The Cardinal's intention was to show that the Vulgate had been crucified between the other 2 versions, but that it was nevertheless the true Word of God. The fact that the Vulgate had been the adulterated product of the Greek and Hebrew versions did not occur to the good Cardinal, who nevertheless did the world a great service by presenting it with a rare copy of the Mosaic Hebrew text, which had been guarded for over 3,000 years. It was not until 1810 that a French scholar named Fabre d'Olivet discovered an old copy of the Cardinal's book. D'Olivet was quite a polyglot himself and had a considerable knowledge of several Eastern languages, including ancient Hebrew. It was with excitement that he set up to study the Hebrew text given in the Polyglot of Paris. After several years of deep study, in which he compared the Hebrew original with Sumerian, Arabic, and other translations, he rewrote the erudic masterpiece La Langue Hébraïque Restituée, or the Hebraic Tongue Restored. This is a book that contains the Hebrew language and a complete copy of the first 10 chapters of the Genesis in its original version. For the first time since Moses reputedly wrote the book of Genesis, European scholars were able to delve into the mysteries of the secret doctrine of the Hebrews, the true Torah, as the Mosaic books are known among the Jews. If I'm telling you all this story, it's because I want you to know that a lot of it has been translated several times over. It is important for us to know that the vibration and the letters of the alphabet, of course, have also been changed over time, and that the real vibrational numbers come from the Hebrew original text. Perhaps one of the biggest dilemmas in the acceptance of the account of creation as given by Genesis by logicians and scientists is the fact that the whole process was completed in 6 days. That for God a day may last for thousands or maybe millions of years had occurred to many philosophers and theologians, but the answer to the enigma lies in Genesis itself. The secret doctrine of the Hebrews, which is known as the Kabbalah, is the key that unlocks the mysteries of creation as given in Genesis, and also the basis for numerology. The Kabbalah teaches that God is pure immanence. He is the ever-pervading energy that fills the universe. He is the all, and greater than all. His essence is intangible, unknown, able, and yet the source from which all the things are known. God is light in His all manifestation. In Genesis 1:3, when God says, "Let there be light," He's referring to this manifestation. For therefore the creation of the universe, God existed as an unmanifested principle. Light is a form of radiant energy that has no mass and no electrical charge, but can create protons and electrons, and building blocks of the atom, and thus the universe. The photon is the unit of light, or one. Planck said, "Photons behave like intelligent human beings." The Kabbalah possesses a classification system that enlightens equally the phenomenal and the nominal worlds. Now let's learn a little bit about the number values of each letter. If you're interested in learning more about the Kabbalah and the text and where the wisdom of the world came from, then sign up for my course that will come up in a few months. Let's say that this table gives the number value of each letter in the alphabet. You are endowed at birth with your own 4 personal numbers. These numbers tell you the lessons to be learned during your life and the spiritual growth and development which you can attain. The 4 personal numbers, as we're going to learn soon, are called the life lesson number, the soul number, the outer personality number, and the path of destiny number. Let's learn about your 4 personal numbers in the next video. I'll see you soon.